Hi there, 7th graders. This is History, Chapter 13, Section 2, A New Spirit in the White House. Our guide to reading, main idea. President Jackson staffed the government with his supporters and battled with the National Bank. In this section, we will learn how the spoils system operated under President Jackson and why President Jackson battled the Bank of the United States. A short time before his inauguration, Jackson's beloved wife Rachel died. The grief-stricken Jackson hardly looked like the person to lead the United States into a new era. Jackson, however, set aside his mourning in the name of the people. In keeping with the new spirit of democracy, Jackson gave a giant inaugural party. Rugged country folk and enthusiastic townspeople poured into the White House. One onlooker described the scene. Ladies fainted, men were seen with bloody noses, and such a scene of confusion took place as is impossible to describe. Ladies and gentlemen had only been expected at this levee reception, but it was the people's day, and the people's president, and the people would rule. The spoils system. Some Americans viewed the events of Jackson's inauguration day as a bad sign. Supreme Court Justice Joseph Story claimed that the reign of King Mob seemed triumphant. Jackson, however, saw the day as a signal of changes to come. He intended to involve his supporters in far more than White House parties. Rewards for victory. Shortly after his inauguration, Jackson fired many government employees. He then replaced them with his own loyal supporters. Politicians had quietly followed this practice for years. Jackson, however, openly defended it. To the victor belong the spoils of the enemy, declared Jackson. In war, spoils meant riches that a victorious army seizes from its enemy. For Jackson, the spoils of political victory meant taking government jobs from opponents and giving them to the victor's own supporters. Jackson handed out more political jobs to his supporters than any president before him. Thereafter, this practice became known as the spoils system. Jackson believed the spoils system expanded democracy. He felt any intelligent person could fill a government position. Changing office holders, argued Jackson, gave more people a chance to take part in governing. An unofficial cabinet. Jackson angered many people by relying upon a group of his own personal advisors, nicknamed the Kitchen Cabinet. Critics believe Jackson should seek the advice of the cabinet members approved by Congress. Jackson, however, turned a deaf ear to critics. "I care nothing about clamors," he once remarked. "I do precisely what I think just and right." War with the bank. In 1832, Jackson felt it just and right to do battle with the Bank of the United States. Debate had surrounded the bank ever since its creation in 1896. The federal government deposited all of its money in the bank. As a result, the bank had complete control over credit. It also decided how much money state banks received. Farmers and merchants hated the bank. So did Andrew Jackson. Jackson focused his anger at Nicholas Biddle, president of the bank since 1823. In Jackson's mind, Biddle represented the power of wealthy Easterners. Biddle, who came from a well-to-do Philadelphia family, viewed Jackson with equal distaste. The two headstrong leaders finally tangled in 1832. That year, Biddle asked Congress to renew the bank's charter, although the charter was not due to run out until 1836. Henry Clay ran against Jackson for president. He saw the bank as a way to unseat Jackson. If Jackson signed a congressional bill to renew the bank, he would lose votes in the South and the West. A veto of the bank bill, on the other hand, would cost Jackson votes in the North. Clay skillfully pushed the bank bill through Congress. Jackson lay ill in his bed when the news reached him. He found the strength, however, to veto the bank renewal bill and charged that the bank was corrupt and anti-American, shutting down the bank. Biddle said the president's charges had all the fury of a chained panther biting at the bars of his cage. Biddle, however, soon found the panther on the loose. In the 1832 election, the common people handed Jackson a sweeping victory. Jackson promptly ordered Secretary of the Treasury Roger Taney to put federal funds into certain state banks, known as pet banks, instead of into the Bank of the United States. Biddle struck back by restricting the flow of money out of the Bank of the United States. Paper money became so scarce that a financial crisis seemed likely. The loss of federal funds crippled the bank, and in 1836, when its charter ran out, it went out of business.